with a heart that says react. And when you press it, you can choose a little hand, and then that shows that you want to speak, and then you just unmute yourself, you see. So if we all mute now, apart from me, because I'm going to be reading the poem, that'd be great. Okay, are you ready then, Joni, to record? I can't hear you, Joni. All right, thank you. So, right. Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, first of all, hello everybody. It's just so great to see you, and really thank you for coming along. It's just beyond an honor, you know, to have you here and to listen to the poem. Uh, so I wrote this book called Is-ness is Your Only Business, and a little book before that called The Joy of No Self. That has poems in, but that isn't a poem book. The other one, Is-ness is Your Only Business, is a poem book. It's all poetry that was kind of came through. And that's what we used to do all the poems from. But since I've started doing this group a few months ago, I've been just getting fresh poems. You know, I've been getting fresh, it's teachings, which I badly need, you know. And then I think, I wonder if they'll be useful to anyone else, you know. And the poems are formed, and so because we couldn't do one last week where, you know, which was about the resurrection, I actually was given a poem called What is Resurrection? And I loved that I was given that subject because it really made me, well, just think about it. I love taking words like when it was the inauguration, I really wanted to understand deeply what is the spiritual meaning really of inauguration. So we had an I can't say that word, you know, inauguration poem. We did one about a very different way of looking at it. So this is just the way that it came to me. Um, you know, if you're happy to listen, called What is Resurrection? So, and then I'm going to read it. And then after I finish reading it, if you feel like saying anything, it would be just wonderful to hear from you, um, or not, whatever you choose. But we'll just start with a little bit of silence just to bring the lusciousness of our beautiful oneness together, all the different aspects of the one diamond shining as this glorious one presence, which appears to have different faces, but doesn't. Just different aspects looking from different points of view. And we can just let everything go that happened a few minutes before. United in this bliss. Knowing that everybody's seeing of the way that they see this is equal and valid, and it's just a beautiful sharing space. So here's the poem, and I'm going to read it from my copy so Joni doesn't have to worry about how that thing moves on the screen. Here is my reflection on resurrection, which though sorry, I'll start again because I was distracted to make sure that was unmuted. Right, I'll start again. Here is my reflection on resurrection, which through great introspection, I was given direction. Everything I see through my human eyes is God itself behind all the disguise. There's nothing out there, it's all in my mind. Before birth, I was awake, but then I went blind. Even birth is a miss because I've always been here, before I was mortally seen. Everything's a mirage derived from the senses, seen through spectacles with dirty lenses. Let's take when we fall in love, overwhelmed with desire. When it's returned, our spark ignites fire. It's so joyful and inviting, so terrifically exciting. Yet, although it seems like it's because of her or him, it isn't outside us. It's all within. When we've resurrected or begun to awaken, outside causes are all forsaken. We no longer bear grudges or feel victimized, hard done by, resentful or criticized, because we know everyone's trapped and tragically sinking, just as we were when we believed in our thinking. But when we wake up and know we're the light, our only function is to see through their plight and beyond all of the appearances of mind interferences, to see who they truly are beyond separation, into the blessed integration of the one divine soul, undivided and whole. Then there's all the tiny things that we constantly miss that once seen provide us with endless bliss. Here's an example from this morning's hour that made me laugh when I finished my shower. I was simply overjoyed with the hot steam cloud that filled the bathroom and made me laugh out loud. And the feeling of the old rough towel on my skin, which scratches so much, it should go in the bin. And all my cells were jumping with smiles, watching the water bouncing off the tiles. There's nothing funny in that, you might say, but it's the withinness that makes it feel like play. You see, my experience is only mine and depends on nothing but the divine consciousness that is my being, that makes for all this wondrous seeing. I have a marvellous view through my French windows of my garden, the blossoms, and the birds come and go. But it's not seen through the eyes from which I'm peering, and sounds are simply the hearing of hearing. It's not out there at all, because the view's from my being. Within my awareness, it's just the seeing of seeing. Resurrection uncovers the big reveal that everything outside is all unreal. What is it then that is resurrected? I am is risen, that was previously neglected. And I should have written previously overlooked and neglected. Entombed and doomed and dead as a doornail, until grace intervened, woke me up and prevailed. Thank you very much. So that's what came to me. Ah. And if you've got any thoughts from your own experience of resurrection or resurrecting, or what it means to you, or anything, I would just, or anything that you notice, I'd love to hear it. Just if and when you're ready.
The poem is so complete.
What did you say? Graphic. What was the first word you said? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
The poem is so complete.
Thank
you. It covers everything so completely and effortlessly, and the reality of it actually beams right through. I it, it everything you said resonated so powerfully. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rafi. That means a lot coming from you. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. You see,
Brianna has her hand up.
Lynn, carry on. Sorry,
I said Brianna has her hand up.
Oh, Brianna. Hi, yes, go on, Brianna, please. Sorry.
No worries at all. I do have a request to put the poem again in the chat so I could look at the words, but I love the imagery of being in the shower because often I get really good insight when I'm in the shower. And that made me laugh a little bit. I don't know if it's because you're by yourself. And so you have this opportunity to almost, I don't want to say be in meditation, but just like accept what's happening around you, the water, and and just all of it. So yeah, so looking at the words again might give me even more perspective, but
Well,
yeah.
what we do is I read it again at the end, and then I send it out as an email to everybody. So everybody that's on the list will get the poem. And also, I usually do an audio recording of it, so you'll get that as well. Me reading it out. Yeah, the bathroom thing. When I came to America, I've said this before, and saw that toilets were called restrooms. I thought that was the best thing I'd ever heard. I thought that is exactly what they should be. Toilets, showers, baths, And it's and that is the time that we can really build in rests, isn't it? Because a lot of people go to particularly the bathroom and think and are annoyed with the fact that it's interrupting them from what they were doing or what they want to do. Really, that's the time to sort of say, no, this is here now. This is a real here now moment. And it's a letting go of stuff as well. And showering, what else can you do in the shower? If you usually catch yourself thinking about all sorts of things, but hey, you're in the shower, what can you do about it? So if you let that go and think, well, I'm just in the shower, then we can have all these delicious um wonderful openings, can't we? Yes, Vince.
Oh, about the shower. I mean, the acoustics are always great in the shower, so maybe even our prayers sound better there.
Love that. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
But yeah, I really enjoyed the poem. It was super spot on, and it just reminded me that, every moment is an opportunity for a rebirth if we're present.
I love that. Absolutely. That because what you've just said is just what I was trying to sort of put across with all those words, just what you've just said. Because that resurrection is just the resurrection of this moment, now, 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 now. Each one of those is a resurrection, isn't it? Super. Yes, Joni. Thank you, Vince. Thank you.
Yeah, it reminds me we're studying the second coming, which is also a rebirth, this moment, now, now, now. What I liked about it, starting with the physical birth, that you were kind of reminding us how a day can flow. And in some other instances, I think Rafi makes it clear too, is I don't have to get rid of the ego. I just have to notice it. And when I take those rest breaks in the shower or a pause or a meditation, it gives me that same opportunity to step back. And when I step back, it's almost like, having the, which do you feed, the devil on this side or the angel or whatever your metaphor is when I step back, I notice and aware that there are two systems. And when I think of walking through the day or walking through the Christ resurrection or, the crucifixion, each step is a choice in that moment. And even though things are going on in the world that I may not like, I get to remember, as Brianna and I learned this weekend, that this is just a racket that is the the ego's thought system. And I am the mafia leader. I love that. That's my new thing. I'm the mafia leader. And if I can pause or rest or let go and step back to a God level, a spiritual level, get off of that victim, villain, victor, villain, hero triangle, then I can observe from what really is there, that really, that Christ, the light, the innocence, there's, everything is perfect. Yes. You're still
Oh
there.
yeah, beautifully put. I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Joni. Lynn. Hi, Lynn. You're still muted though. There you are. Yeah.
All right, that worked. So first, I got to go to the shower thing because that's always been my place as well. That I can get into water and being in water, surrounded by water, even being in a place where it's foggy or damp or rainy. I find my intuitive reception to be so much higher. It's like how, electricity, when it gets into water, it flows through water. That's how uh, I think the the tie that holds us together, the receptivity of that becomes more pronounced when I'm in water. So in the shower, I get all kinds of downloads, just like boom, 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 boom. Something I've been wondering about for weeks will come to me like boom, boom, boom. And I know you, Mandy, go swimming probably almost every day. People who surround themselves with water or take baths or swim or whatever, walk in the rain. It is something that helps us connect and connects us to the earth and connects us to the universe and connects us to everything. So I get that shower thing. The resurrection, uh, there was just that one moment that I recognized that I was the resurrected Christ. As A Course in Miracles, Jesus tells us to us all the time. That's what we are. But recognizing that I'm the resurrected Christ, then I change the way I walk through the world. It changed the way I join with other people. It changed the way I listen to, people and things around me. It changed every bit of my being, including my physical being, walking through the world as the resurrected Christ. And of course, that we're reading that book, Resurrection Consciousness. Some of us are really involved in reading that with Sebastian Blakesley, and uh, that's exactly what it's telling us, is that now is the time. There is no other time. Now is the time, and the world needs us now in that resurrected state to be to walk through the world as the Christ and to um, vibe, raise the vibration of everything and everyone around us. And so this is not a, maybe someday, or wouldn't I wish, or wouldn't that be a great thing, or this is something that is right now, and it's in everything, just as your poem said, Mandy. So that's it really is. I think it's a call to a call to I was going to say a call to arms, but a call to hearts, I guess. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
Oh, thank you. I loved every word of what you just said. I particularly relate to the electric current through water. Water's my go-to everywhere. All the downloads, everything. I can't agree with you more. And or yeah, submerging. I loved everything you said there. And walking as the resurrected Christ. It changes everything. Thank you, Lynn. Beautifully put. Oh, Rafi. Hi, Rafi.
Hi. As you started to read the poem, resistance and denial came up right away. The disbelief, and I laughed. I looked at it and I said, okay, yes, resistance, yes, resistance, yes, resistance. I love you. You want to go? And it always says yes. Go or stay. I love you unconditionally, but I choose to let you go now. And of course, then the poem resonated even more strongly. But I looked at the resistance and I thought, this is like asking your mind what's going on is like asking a microwave, do you know what moonlight is? It might possibly know what's outside itself. And
That's great. Like, I love that, asking a microwave what moonlight is. That's perfect.
and
I love it.
the mind can't possibly, ego mind can't possibly understand, what the reality is. And so yeah, I just get in charge, and just by watching it, just by being the observer of it, just by being the witness of it, it loses all its power. And I realized I'm in charge, it's not in charge. And so that whole victim thing goes away. And then seeing everybody as the divine Christ consciousness, seeing everybody as divine love, automatically takes all judgment away. You're not seeing them as people, and the mind sees, individuals as people starts judging them. They're too short, they're too tall, they're too old, they're too fat, they're too skinny, they're too whatever, okay? All of that goes away completely. Because then you're seeing them for who they really are. And this poem reminded me of that very, very strongly. So once again, God bless you, darling. Right on the mark.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Rafi. Thank you so much. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, and it's before we realize that we are the Christ walking about. You know, well, I just remember before that I was so small-minded, and when I was in the swimming pool today, so I go to Aquafit a lot, which is get fit under the water. You know? And there's a lot of us that just know each other. We've been going for so many years, And I was just seeing them today. Well, I do it all the time, and I'm sure we all do it, just seeing that these are just pretend faces, really, because I know what's really here, and just seeing everybody in the light, and everything just becomes so playful, and you're just having a great time knowing that you are just part of this one light, and however separate it appears, it isn't, and it doesn't feel like that anymore, really. It's all I. And then people just they just start giggling. People start giggling for no reason. They don't know why they're giggling. And I'm sure everybody here has had that experience, because when you are that peaceful, playful, innocent light, knowing yourself as everybody that's there, people just start laughing, or they start smiling, things just let go, and so it's a really lovely thing. Anyway, just before I was getting out, there was a lady who was sat on the side, and there was a person in the pool who said, has she got enough protection on? And basically, then I had another look, and the lady did have these about every inflatable on her that you could imagine. She had two on this arm, two on that arm, on her body, on her legs, and everything. And I don't know. It's funny. It didn't mean anything to me, but the lady I was talking to was trying to get me, I realized, to sort of have a little laugh about this woman. It was a bit of unkindness, really, that I saw going on. And I just was grateful in that moment for being so far away from that person I used to be, that had that kind of judgment where you would separate people and judge them and everything. And it just came to me how blooming painful that was, to be that kind of a person that would make these judgments about other people. But I'm glad that I can remember very clearly how I was when I was that person. I never want to forget how that felt. It just felt awful. And so, I just kind of blessed the person that was making this comment, um, and just swam away, not with any judgment of her either. It was a blessing for me to keep me humble, to remind me how I was, and the traps that we can occasionally fall into when we make any kind of separation. So yeah, that's just something that came up. Yes, Brianna.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, one of the things that I feel like you're pointing to also in your poem, and even in this reflection with your friend in the pool, is the difference between the inside and the out. And I almost feel like it was merging them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if spirit was showing you that, you're not like that anymore, or that you don't ascribe to putting people out, because that's what I heard. Like it was like gossip, right? Like, making fun, right? And that's not part of who you are. And that almost feels like it merges. I don't know, because there was a lot in the poem I remember about being, what's inside versus what's outside, and that's something I think as a human being we have to deal with, both of those aspects. And then recognizing like that the inside helps us reflect who we want to be outside too. Anyway, not sure where I'm going with that, but that came
That's
up for me.
perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect, Brianna, because this is this is what we're here, when it says in the Course in Miracles, I am only here to be truly helpful. you know that's it. That we're being truly helpful to ourselves and to everybody else when we expand and see what we really are. And when we one it only takes one light in a room, in a dark room, doesn't it? And this is the wonderful thing to always remember, when we are putting ourselves down. Yeah, it's great. Humility is the only way. But what's not humility, a false modesty, is when we're putting ourselves down. That's actually turning away from the greatness of who we are. So the greatness of who we are is that we have this amazing capacity that when we are the light, as we all are, not just me in a swimming pool, as we all are, when we know everybody else to be the light, it switches on a light for everyone else, and it really does. Um, and when darkness comes in, like we could say the lady who was trying to make fun of the other person, um, it's it's kind of outnumbered by the light. It's not outnumber's not the right word, is it? It's the light takes over, and that little bit of darkness can't even get in. It's not significant enough because, yeah. Yes, Lynn.
This is all very interesting, and I love the whole story of uh, having being with someone who is making a judgmental statement or thought about another person, and then I have to decide, how am I going to respond to this without judging them, without making them feel bad or embarrassed, without joining with them in that. Yeah, that does look really silly, doesn't it? Not moving into that. But where do I go with that kind of a thought? And because you feel it, and that's that inside feeling of shame and angst, and thinking possibly maybe I don't know, there's an echo or something there. Possibly maybe uh you know I don't, in fact, it's a big part of the reason that I am so I call it socially awkward, because I don't know what to say. when I don't want to join in to the judgment, and I don't want to point out to everybody that they're judging. I don't want to, be the big bash on the party that's, going to make everyone feel bad, and including myself. And so, what do I say in that situation? And this is where I always have to ask Holy Spirit, what can I say here that is going to be truly helpful? And I wouldn't know what to say to that person. Well, we can be pretty sure that the lifeguard's not going to have to come save her, or
That's a good one.
or something like that. Because what kind of response is really justified in that situation? I don't really have a clear answer other than, um, you know, I'm only here to be truly helpful. So, what is the most helpful thing that I can say or do? And that helps me so much to just ask, what shall I say? Just ask, what shall I say? Rather than try to be, uh, get along with the rest of the guy. I mean, I've done horrible things and said terrible things, and joined in terrible situations, because I used to work in a corporate world. I worked in a mining company. I worked where there were, I hate to say it, a lot of men and very few women. So, that's a whole different kind of judgment scene going on over there. Women are quite judgmental themselves, so there's a whole realm of community that is caught in this system of just trying to justify themselves over and over and over again. And her saying that, about the protection, that may have been her uh wanting to reach out to you to have a conversation, because she was feeling awkward and she wanted to say something that was going to pull you into a conversation. We don't know why people are doing what they're doing. um
Can I butt in, Lynn?
yes, yeah, sure.
In that situation, people do this for you. You're quite right. You're onto something there. It's a way, for a start off, they want somebody to. Why do people want friends when they're not, say, spiritual? Everybody wants friends to agree with them. They want somebody to, even here we are agreeing with each other. We want friends to agree with each other. We bring people in so we won't feel so alone. The thing is this, with a situation like that, what comes to me in that situation is not to say anything. I don't search for a truth. I don't think anything. I bless her knowing that, that I feel compassion. That's where she is. It's not a judgment, nor is it me being patronizing. I know that's where she is. And I can just love her in that, in myself. And I smiled at her very, very warmly and then just swam on, you see. And now she tried it again, about 5 minutes later, and I did the same thing again. And then she just gave up, you see, because if you don't join in, she just gives up. She gives up. And I don't have a judgment about her because I know why she's doing it. Why does anybody doing that? Because there's a part of them that's a bit asleep and still feels so much separation. That separation leads them back to their own loneliness, and the circle continues. So she looks for somebody to feel familiar with. It's the game that everybody's in till they see beyond the game. So it's an interesting one, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. Thank you. And that's all I was really trying to say. I don't know what to say or do in those situations myself. And I don't, and I can remember instigating situations like that so many times in the past. And of course, not to shame myself for it, because I didn't know any better either. I was just trying to reach out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the way to do it. Anyway, thank you, Mandy.
I'm with you, girl. I know what you mean. Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Lynn. Thank you. Yes, Vince, I'd love to hear what you're going to say.
Sure, I love that, you know, you realize that, okay, I'm in a situation, and it's uncomfortable. because I know this is not where I want to be, and I don't think that's the right thing to say. And pausing, and taking that, like we've said, back to Holy Spirit, and until you can think of something to say that brings you both back to love.
Mhm.
And, you know, I was thinking about it as Lynn was talking, and it's like, what could I say in that situation? And something that, like, uh I love that she's willing, she loves the water so much that she's willing to even look silly to share this experience with all of us, because we all love the water. And uh it just goes to show you that she must really love it, or something to that effect, where we're all kind of just turns it around to be looking at an aspect of admiration for her courage to get in water when she can't swim, or this act of bravado, instead of you know just judging the appearance.
Well, that's why I loved what Lynn said when she said that the first remark was, at least the lifeguards won't have to come and get her. But whereas I'm really hearing what you're saying, and thank you. I honestly think that in situations like that, because I remember a friend of mine years and years ago, John, is the sweetest guy, and you could tell John things like, I remember being in a band with him and thinking, oh, that bass player is driving me mad. Have you seen how he does this? Have you seen how he does that? Oh, it's just awful. And John just grinned and grinned. And in the end, I could see that I was getting nowhere with John. John is just never going to say anything. He's never going to agree or disagree. Or sometimes he'd just go like that. And that was just so effective, and it shut me up because I could see that this was never going to go anywhere. And every time I had a complaint, he looked like he was listening, but he would just grin. And there's something about being all steamed up with somebody that's just looking at you lovingly, accepting you as you are with all your anger and judgments, and just grinning at you. That's the best thing. So you don't have to even find the words. And so, stealing that from my friend John, that's what I did with her. And then eventually she gives up and just gives me the most beatific smile later on, where she'd had 2 goes and it wasn't getting anywhere. So it took the power away. And I find myself doing it. So if I find myself complaining about somebody or something that I've done, complaining how I feel, I just suddenly laugh out loud at myself. I just think, like me and Rafi talk about all the time, it's so cute. It's just cute. Look at you. You're so angry, so upset. Ha ha ha. Yes, go on. Thank you. Joni, sorry, Joni. The doorbell rang at the same time. Go on, Joni.
Can't add too much to this, but it just is all coming back. I remember when I think of the resurrection as that walk of sadness, Christ suffering and still in his dignity, he certainly did feel pain, physical pain, and he certainly was in the moment. But when the Course talks, and Dove says it all the time, it's in our gentle laughter, because we're not laughing at the situation or the person. That's where compassion, but it's in my gentle laughter, or the cuteness of that. I'm standing outside the microwave, and the moon is still shining, whether that cute microwave doesn't know it, is in my inclusiveness, in that, as Dove has taught us, or me, is the oneness that I recognize in that wholeness. The joke was on my ego. Thanks, Pass.
The joke's always on us, isn't it? Very good. Thank you, Joni. Yes, Lynn.
Something else that I thought of as the conversation went on is that if a person in that situation we're to recognize that no matter how they tried to goad you into saying something negative about someone else, that you just disregarded and didn't go into that. For me, that would make me think, well, then she's not going to stand for people saying mean things about me. But she's not going to say mean things about me either. She's, I think there's a inherent trust that comes through when we are with people who are non-judgmental, who don't judge others. I think uh, what happens with people who tend to be really judgmental, they get into like a little clique and they just, they it's like us against the world. But then they also recognize that their compatriots that are their buddies in this war are equally able to attack them as well and equally likely to attack them as well. So there's that qualified entente that Jesus talks to us about in the Course of Miracles, where we make a bargain with each other of, I won't hurt you if you don't hurt me, but it's us against the world, and we can be safer that way. But I'm always keeping my eye open because I know you're treacherous. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
No, but that was a thought I had immediately. I thought, that she will always know, this lady, that she can always trust me because she'll know that I would never say anything to hurt her, about her behind her back. And that's what I used to know with John. I could trust him implicitly. He'll never say a bad word about me because you know what I mean? And exactly what you just said, Lynn. So, and also we learn now we just couldn't do it because we just know beyond any shadow of a doubt that when we hurt somebody else, one even thought about it, we're stamping on our own feet, and it always just comes out with, like the other day I had a mean thought and I dropped the fish pie all over the floor. I'd made this fish pie for Easter for my friend coming over, and I'd spent ages on it. I told her even about it, which you should never do. Like tell somebody how wonderful your fish pie is, for goodness sake. Anyway, I did. I said, you don't know what's in this fish pie. Oh, blah blah. And then I baked it with cheese on top. Oh, you're gonna love it. Who does that? I did it. Anyway, then comes to serving it, and I even went, are you ready? She went, I'm starving, she said, banging her cutlery on her plate. And then, oh my God, the whole thing slipped out of my hand, the oven gloves went all over the floor. And it took two of us to clean it up. We were just laughing and laughing and laughing. It was so funny. And then we had to go back and do it a second time because potato and cream and that all over the place. Oh, that was a mucky accident. That went everywhere. It was just hilarious. And talk about pride comes before a fish pie, really does. So anyway, I digress. Oh, Vince, do stop me, please. You're muted. Yeah, there you go.
Great. Yeah, and as Lynn was talking, and I think sometimes just that silence allows the other person to reflect and self-correct and say, you know what? Maybe that wasn't the kindest thing to say. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And maybe I'll rethink it, the next time. And so we don't have to always say, something, and that allows the person to go to their inner better self.
No, that's exactly my point, that we don't have to look even for a truth. We don't have to say anything, just say nothing and just
Yeah.
love them, exactly. Yeah, it does. And also the thing about inner reflection is that, I mean, this is also why, in a converse way, why people can attack each other, particularly when there's domestic abuse, because the one that stays quiet is then just a mirror for the anger of the other one, because they see, if you start being angry with me and shouting and gesticulating and everything, and I'm quiet, all you can see back is you can hear yourself, you can know, you can see yourself, and that can make you more angry. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like people that are that angry can't bear to see it, and it's reflected in the pond of the other person's stillness. So I don't know where I'm kind of going with that, but this is but even if that was the case, it shouldn't call for us to react or make a reaction. So that if somebody is being mean about somebody else and they're getting more and more worked up because you aren't, that's no reason for you to try and meet them where they are, but to just continue letting go and letting go and letting the arrows just bounce off you and letting the arrows bounce off you. And eventually they have to calm down, and they do, because that stillness, they can't do anything with it. You've taken all their power away, because it was a false power anyway. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with you, Joni. Yeah.
Two things. One, I think people have heard the story with Byron Katie, where she talks about somebody with a gun came in, and then she invited them in, and she kept her cool through she kept her cool. The other thing I saw last night in my landmark forum is this woman. She showed what that looked like and acted it out with a hand. The person was doing something and putting that, and the words she emphasized by putting, the guy put his hand on her shoulder, and she was showing how resisting it, just made the hand come back, but stepping aside and allowing the hand to go by. And she kept her calm and her poise. She could still look lovingly at him. And when she did that, it reminded me, I was uncomfortable when a Christian gentleman was saying, arguing with her, life is not meaningless. My faith says it's not meaningless. And she just, and it still was kind of in the ego. I'm trying to rationalize this, but in her acceptance and her calm, I watched him go within to himself, and he kind of turned away like, maybe I got to think about this. And so all three of these demonstrate the power that the awareness has over the ego of myself and ego of others, because it's in that joining in the oneness where the peace and the love resides. And I just wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you for saying that. It's lovely, beautifully put. Thank you, Joni. Yes, Rafi. You muted.
Yeah, okay. I couldn't unmute for a second. What I'm hearing is the power of acceptance. Acceptance is a very high power. And when you get into acceptance, it's non-reactive. So if you're not reacting and you're in acceptance, which is one and the same, really, there can be nothing else but I love you because you are the way you are. I have what I need when I need it. And there's abundance, and there's receptivity, and there's benevolence, and beneficence, and compassion, and kindness, and understanding. And ain't nothing wrong with any of that. And then you're in a place where, no matter what else is going on around you, that's what's going to be reflected back to the people who are around you, who are expressing whatever they're expressing. I've seen that change people. There's a man that comes into a cafe where a friend of mine go a couple of times, and I go a couple of times a week, and he's all about saving the world. I mean, he's a retired nurse. He's 83 years old, but somehow sitting in that cafe, he's going to change the world. And he's going to stop all the fighting in the Mideast, and he's going to get the Israelis and the Palestinians and all of those other people to get. How is he? And he just goes on and he rants and he raves and he shows stuff and a thing, and I just sit there and I just love him. and love him and love him and let him be. And then eventually he calms down and the subject shifts to something else as meaningless, because it's all meaningless. The dream is meaningless. It's here to serve like everything else. So there's the perfection in it, but it ain't real. There's the other reality. I mean, there's the paradox that makes it true, and you're right back into acceptance. The next step higher than acceptance is peace. So you're coming from that place of incredible, imperturbable peace, undisturbable peace. Everything else just bounces off you, and you can see it as bouncing off the screen of our awareness, of our consciousness, of our being. And all of a sudden, you're in the place where you really, which is the reality, and the rest of the stuff just kind of bounces along and bounces around, and so, and then if my mind jumps up with a bunch of thoughts, I just look at it and go, "Wow, what's that thought for?" Well, it's nothing. Who's it for? I have no idea, and it just goes away, and you're right back into that acceptance and peace again. So thank you. This is woo, what a session. Oh.
Lovely. Thank you, Rafi. I love all the, yeah, that love you, love you, love you. It does so much, doesn't it? And you just carry that in your heart. I love all your stories about doing that too. And yeah, I'm similar to do it. And the yeah, you just see very quickly how things change. Or people stop complaining in supermarket queues and stuff like that. It's great. Thank you. Yes, Dov. Hi, Dov. Hi.
Everybody. I've been sitting here accepting all exactly the way it is. And that's exactly what Rafi just said. You know, the acceptance is such a high power. I think there was one power higher than acceptance, and that's trust. And total trust is I really need do nothing, that Holy Spirit is in total charge. So I'm trusting in spirit, to TRUST. It's an acronym for to rely upon spirit totally.
Hey,
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah. Robert Adams, who was one of the Americans who used to visit Ramana Maharshi, you know, I think his number one teaching was do not react. Now the ego always reacts because it says, no, well, you have your position, I have my position. There's no such thing as positions in reality. There is just this sameness and this oneness. So when you finally get to the place where you accept, you are not reacting anymore. In fact, Ken Wapnick did say, acceptance is the most important and most powerful word in A Course in Miracles. He actually said that. He either said it most important and most powerful. It was one or the other. And he's the same one that says the only truth in A Course in Miracles is God is, and I always like to say, is-ness is your only business. I also congratulate Joni and Brianna because they graduated the forum. She just mentioned it, and I took the forum or a version of it 50 years ago. Literally, this year is the 50th anniversary when I did the S training with Werner Erhard. And I've often said when I'm speaking about the course, I could never have done the Course in Miracles if I hadn't taken S first. Gary Renard says the exact same thing. He took the S training at about the same time I did in 75, 76, 77. And I heard Joni last night. We had a breakout session, and Joni, what is the word that they actually use? Like I speculate, or I want to have a home in Italy. What is the exact word?
Oh, oh shoot. Give me a second.
Okay, all right, very good. But Joni actually came for 2 minutes. She was in such a high energy level of saying what it is that she's going to do in the world, and I just love it because it opens you to new possibilities, and the bottom line of it's so funny. The bottom line, which everyone here who does the course will agree, and whether you're doing the course or not, basically the bottom line is life is meaningless, and it's meaningless that it's meaningless.
And what the purpose of that was is we cleaned the slate. We got to that meaningless state, and I'm sustained, or I'm creating basically, and I just flowed into anything that would come through. And it wasn't that form means anything. It was the love and the possibilities. It was recognizing how limitations box us in, like Rafi was saying, do I want to be a microwave, or do I want to go beyond that, get rid of those conditions, rackets, and be in the mystery? So in that mystery, you can flow with it. Yes, I invited, since Dove is a graduate, I got to invite him to be there, and it was kind of fun. A little late for both of us, but it was fun.
I want to add one other thing. For years I've been saying you got to laugh. Almost everyone who knows me knows that I say that's my reaction. Instead of thinking I have to react to anybody, I kind of smile and giggle. Now you use the word giggle, and I realize the alliteration "you gotta giggle" is really fun. You gotta giggle. I mean, giggling is really, it's not even laughing. It is a giggle because you realize that it doesn't really mean anything, which happens to be lesson 1 of the course. It doesn't mean anything.
That's right. It only has the meaning you give it.
Exactly.
Oh, lovely, Dove. Thank you. Yes, Vince. Muted again.
There you
That's
go.
it.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks for that. I don't know if this will add anything over what Dove already just said. So, but what I was hearing with the acceptance reminded me of the non-reaction. It reminded me of the grief recovery program that we just went through, and the idea of hearts with ears. And that as we're listening to our partners talk through their grief, to be non-reactive allows them to come out the other end healed, and to be where they need to be and say what they need to say, without us telling them, no, you should look at it this way, or you shouldn't feel bad, you should feel this, and just being there in silence allows them to take the journey they need to take.
Absolutely. I mean, that adds totally, Vince. Thank you. When I was trained to do Samaritans, which is a suicide telephone line in the UK, exactly that. That was the whole training, to just not react, not even say, "Oh, really?" or "Oh, yeah," or "I'm listening," or not even make any noises, really. Just to occasionally just let them know that you're there, and just in that non-reactive state, utterly non-reactive, then they felt that everything could just flow. So it's really, really important, because even if we're listening to someone and we're sort of making over sympathetic signals, that's off-putting as well. There's somebody I know, and she keeps saying yes, yes, yes. Oh, it just stops you flow all the time. So no, absolutely. Oh, thank you. Dov, yeah, you got your hand up again, yeah?
Yeah, that's right out of the psychotherapy pamphlet. It says that psychotherapy is the only therapy that actually heals the mind. And in the pamphlet, it's very clear that healing starts the instant that the therapist doesn't judge the patient. So that's exactly it. Instead of saying yes or okay, there is no judgment. There's just the openness and the allowing, the acceptance. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you, friends. It's got to that time. So I think we're going to read the poem. I'm going to read the poem. And I just want to say hello to John because I've not even said hello to John. So hi, John. I don't know quite when you came in, but it's lovely to see you. Hi, John.
Lovely to see you too and everybody here. And I just wanted to throw one banana peel on the ground because I just got this message about acceptance. And we're talking about communications, and you're talking about communication suicidal. And how can I be in acceptance of the fact that there's people who are unlovable, or that in total acceptance of the fact that I am unlovable? There's parts of me that's unlovable. So it's kind of an oxymoron, but hey, we got to be in acceptance. That's okay, because there's some people who are unlovable. Anybody see anybody just they admit I'm unlovable. They're just unlovable people, and so on and so forth. So being in acceptance of that is a big step for me today. But I really want to hear your poem.
Thank you so much, John. Okay, I'm going to read it. And then I just want to thank everybody for coming, and to Joni for sorting everything out, and Lynn for letting everybody know. So thank you. Okay, I'll read it. What is resurrection? Here is my reflection on resurrection, which through great introspection, I was given direction. Everything I see through my human eyes is God itself behind all the disguise. There's nothing out there. It's all in my mind. Before birth, I was awake, but then I went blind. Even birth is a myth because I've always been here before I was mortally seen. Everything's a mirage derived from the senses, seen through spectacles with dirty lenses. Let's take when we fall in love, overwhelmed with desire. When it's returned, our spark ignites fire. It's so joyful and inviting, so terrifically exciting. Yet, although it seems like it's because of her or him, it isn't outsiders, it's all within. When we've resurrected or begun to awaken, outside causes are all forsaken. We no longer bear grudges or feel victimized, hard done by, resentful or criticized, because we know everyone's trapped and tragically sinking, just as we were when we believed in our thinking. But when we wake up and know we're the light, our only function is to see through their plight and beyond all the appearances of mind interferences, to see who they truly are beyond separation, into the blessed integration of the one divine soul, undivided and whole. Then there's all the tiny things that we constantly miss that, once seen, provide us with endless bliss. Here's an example from this morning's hour that made me laugh when I finished my shower. I was simply overjoyed with the hot steam cloud that filled the bathroom and made me laugh out loud. And the feeling of the old rough towel on my skin, which scratches so much it should go in the bin. And all my cells were jumping with smiles, watching the water bouncing off tiles. There's nothing funny in that, you might say, but it's the withinness that makes it all feel like play. You see, my experience is only mine, and depends on nothing but the divine consciousness that is my being, that makes for all this wondrous seeing. I have a marvellous view through my French windows of my garden, the blossoms and the birds come and go, but it's not seen through the eyes from which I'm peering, and sounds are simply the hearing of hearing. It's not out there at all, because the views from my being within my awareness is just the seeing of seeing. Resurrection uncovers the big reveal that everything outside is all unreal. What is it then that is resurrected? I am is risen, that was previously overlooked, I should have put in, and neglected. I am is risen, that was previously overlooked and neglected, entombed and doomed and dead as a doornail, until grace intervened, woke me up and prevailed. So thank you very much, and I will send that out. And anything, Vince, you've got your hand up. Oh, you're clapping hands. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, John, did you want to say something? Because you're saying, I can see your lips moving, but you're muted.
I want to say thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, bless you all. Thank you so much. I've learned so much. I've loved all the things. And you know, Dov, can you just go on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, and just write for me the meaning of the trust again? Can you just unmute a moment and say trust? You know what the word trust stands for again?
Okay, sure. TRUST, to rely upon spirit totally.
Oh, to rely upon spirit totally. I love it. Right.
I have Canvas. I'll WhatsApp you Canvas too.
What's Canvas?
Those little memes things.
Oh,
graphic.
Oh, I see. Yes. All right. Thank you.
A picture, yeah.
A picture.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you very much, everybody. And I haven't seen Elizabeth, so I just want to say thank you to Elizabeth and everybody that's been here. It's been super, super, super.